After 50, maybe you weren't rejected. Maybe you're just protecting yourself too much. You locked the door, but can you still hear someone knocking? There comes a time in life when silence feels safer than the risk of getting hurt again. We get used to the noise of the world outside and the emptiness within. We start saying no without thinking, turning down the new before we even feel it. Not because we don't want to, but because we're afraid. Afraid of being rejected, of no longer fitting anywhere. But what if that fear isn't about others? What if it's just you, trying too hard to protect yourself? Today, I want to invite you to look at that gently. Stay with me till the end, because maybe, just maybe, you'll realize you still have the key. But first, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. After 50, we become more selective, quieter, more careful. We say we've learned from life, that now we're wiser, more attentive. But sometimes, what looks like wisdom is just fear with a prettier name. The truth is, when the heart gets hurt too many times, it starts making up excuses not to feel anymore. It starts refusing before it even wants. It starts protecting itself from everything, even from what might heal. Have you noticed that? That you say no too quickly? That you turn down an invitation before even asking yourself if you wanted to go? That you shrug off encounters, glances, messages, because you've already decided it won't work? It's subtle, almost invisible, but it slowly dims your desire, like a candle no one blows out, but no one lights either. And we call it maturity. But deep down, it's just a desperate attempt not to hurt anymore. Only protecting yourself from everything also means giving up on fully living. True wisdom isn't about shutting down. It's about knowing how to open the door with more presence, with more tenderness, with more listening, but opening it. Maybe you're mistaking a pause for an ending, caution for giving up, safety for numbness. You pulled away saying you needed peace, but did peace ever arrive? Or is it just emptiness that remains? It's hard to face this, I know, but it needs to be faced, because fear disguised as caution will keep you far from everything that still had the chance to bloom. And that distance is not maturity, it's loneliness disguised as protection. So sit with this question. Are you really avoiding harm or avoiding the chance of something good? At first, silence feels like a relief. After so much chaos, so much rushing, so much noise, it comes like a rest. But over time, that same silence starts to weigh. It's a weight that makes no sound, but fills every space. The living room feels too big. The house sits still. The body moves. But it's like the soul doesn't follow anymore. You wake in the middle of the night and check your phone. No message. But you check anyway. Not because you expect someone, but because deep down, you still hope. Deep down, there's still someone in you who wants to be remembered, wanted, called by name. And that lack of connection leaves marks. Marks that don't show up in the mirror, but the heart feels them. Every time a whole day passes without a real conversation, you say you don't want to get involved anymore. But is that really true? Or do you just not want to be disappointed again? Because learning to live alone is one thing. Getting used to not being seen is another. And there comes a point where solitude is no longer a choice. It's a consequence. A consequence of too much self-protection, too much avoiding, too much retreating before even trying. Maybe the deepest pain isn't missing someone, but missing yourself in this small, walled-off place with no windows. How long has it been since you said what you truly feel, since you spoke with honesty, without fear of the reaction? Then try this. Not now, not out loud, but in the quiet of your corner. Write it down. Write on paper what you wish you could say to someone, to yourself, to the past, even if you never had the courage to say it, even if no one will hear. Because sometimes what saves us is simply letting the words leave our chest. And maybe, in writing, you'll realize you still have a voice, still have desire, still have presence. Silence can be listening too, but it has to be listening to yourself, not just absence of others. Some people say, it's not for me, before trying, before asking, before showing up, and it seems like a conscious choice, but almost always it's a defense. A defense against something that hasn't even happened. A defense against a possible no that might never come. It's like the heart still wants, but you tell it, stay quiet, better not. Have you felt that? A certain pull to live something new, but you shut it down before it could begin? It's like seeing a door slightly open and quickly closing it, just in case of what might be behind it. We get used to saying, it won't work to everything, to meetups, to ideas, to chances. Not because we know, just because it once hurt too much. And now it feels safer to quit before someone quits on us. It's like switching off the light before even trying to turn it on. And in that quiet motion of self-abandonment, we start excluding ourselves from stories that never got the chance to begin. Life didn't reject you. You're the one who's been saying no on its behalf. And maybe you've convinced yourself that this is maturity, but deep down, it's just fear of trying again. How many stories did you cancel before the first chapter even began? How many times did you say no to avoid disappointment and ended up disappointed anyway for not having lived? The heart still beats. It still wants. But it needs you not to silence it again. If this touches you in any way, if you too have jumped ahead to no, comment below. I feel it. This isn't weakness. It's just your body saying there's still something alive inside, and that is still life. You don't need to rush back. You don't have to throw yourself into anyone's arms, nor open your heart as if nothing ever happened. Life after 50 doesn't ask for speed, it asks for presence. And presence isn't about quantity, it's about intention. So much can be reborn in silence, in small gestures, in a whispered yes, where there used to be only whatever. Maybe you don't want to get involved again, but maybe you want to feel again. Feel the tingle of an honest conversation, the warmth of a gaze that lingers, the relief of saying how you feel, without fear of the reply. Sometimes we think we need big moments to change, but everything starts small, like the first breeze after a dry summer, like an accepted coffee, a memory shared, a simple message. I thought of you. It's in these small gestures that the soul realizes it's still alive, that it still wants, even if afraid. Even with scars, you don't have to give yourself fully again, but you do need, with all the gentleness in the world, to stop hiding. Because when we hide, life stops finding us too. Allow yourself a gesture, not out of loneliness, but out of courage. The soft courage of someone who has already suffered and still chooses to feel once more. It's not about starting over. It's about continuing from where you left off, with more truth, with more listening, with more of you. You protected yourself because you had to. At that moment, it was all you could do. The world felt too dangerous, people unpredictable, the heart tired. So you created strategies. You shut down, became more selective, quieter, more distant. And no one can judge that, because pain teaches us how to defend. But sometimes it also teaches us not to feel anything at all. Still, there's a truth we all eventually have to face. The same wall that keeps pain out also keeps affection from coming in. You avoid touch, but your body longs to be held. You avoid deep conversation, but your chest aches for someone to truly listen. You avoid emotion, but your eyes well up when no one's watching. What you're pushing away out of fear might be exactly what would save you. It's care that heals, presence that brings inner order, connection that gives meaning back to life. And it doesn't need to be grand. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be discreet, like turning on a dim light in a dark house. Maybe what your nervous system is asking for right now is just a reconnection, even if small, even if silent. Choose a gesture that brings you closer to someone. A good morning you don't usually say. An I missed you spoken with honesty. A wait, a memory shared. Not because it will fix everything, but because it reminds you that you're still here, and that despite the fear, there's still a part of you that wants to trust. Trust isn't forgetting the pain. It's believing it doesn't have to lead you forever. The wound doesn't need to disappear, but it doesn't need to be in charge either. Maybe today, just today, You can choose to feel something new. Life after 50 isn't a dead end. It's just a different kind of road. Quieter, yes. Slower, perhaps. But still full of landscapes you never saw because you were too busy trying not to get lost. And now, with your feet on the ground and your soul a bit more tired, you realize pain didn't break you. It just made you close off. You spent so long trying not to be rejected that without realizing, you began to reject yourself in the smallest of daily choices. Choices not to go, not to try, not to show up, not to be. But here's a deeper truth. You're still here, and that, in itself, is a second chance, because the key never left your hands. It's just been tucked away, between fear and memory, between desire and silence. And it's not about throwing the doors wide open. No one's asking for haste, exposure, or certainty. It's simply about turning the lock from the inside, cracking it open, letting in a little air, some sound, a bit of company. It's about unlocking the door you closed, to avoid losing yourself. And that, in the end, made you lose yourself. But now you can return, slowly, with respect for your journey, with tenderness for the parts that still hurt, with space for what still pulses. Rejection does exist, but living hidden away is rejecting yourself every day. So maybe today's invitation isn't to go back to how things were, but to allow something new to begin. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter how long you've been gone. As long as there's life, there's still a path. And as long as there's a path, there's still time. And what if today you just unlocked the door, even a little, enough for the world to notice you're still here, enough for you to hear yourself again? You still have time. Time to rediscover yourself. Time to trust, slowly. Time to open the door and feel the breeze. If something inside you stirred, comment below. I feel it. Not because you're ready, but because you still feel. And that is the beginning of everything. See you in the next video. Gently, truthfully, with the key back in your hands. That's it. If you felt this content touched you at any point, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and see you in the next video.